Dark Knight's Death Metal Trinity Crisis issue 1. I really don't think they needed Dark Knights at the start of these. Just Death Metal Trinity Crisis would have been fine.
Yeah,
Probably.
but there's a brand.
I know. Scott Snyder writing with Francis Manapul on the art, and this is honestly kind of an essential chapter in the story.
Yeah, they could say that
this...
it's not, but they're lying.
Yeah, I said this back when we had the last issue of Metal, and I was very concerned because this and Speed Metal felt essential, and they're overpriced books, and I'm not a fan of that. If they're essential, they should be just the part of the main story. And I think honestly, the only reason they're not is because they're not Capullo drawing.
Yeah, and on top of that, it feels like the Hawkman Lost and Found, which weren't essential, but kind of were. I don't remember if those were overpriced.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously I expect Metal issue 4, which it says at the end of this, to be continued in Metal issue 4. I expect it'll quickly recap just what they found at the end of this issue, and that'll be it. But the story of them actually sneaking into Castle Bat and sort of reaffirming what the plan is, the steps that are taken to get there, obviously the ending, and I actually do appreciate it taking the time for them to. It makes it feel like more of a challenge, them actually having to sneak through and like achieve all these little steps along the way, and this idea that they're going after like these worlds where the crisis, the three big crises, the final, the infinite, and the obviously the original one, are ongoing, and they're going to win them all. One per hero, which is, and they've got Alfred boxes, which
because they're obviously just, we've had father boxes in the past. And it seems to be they are just those.
Well, Father Box came from Dr. Impossible, who they set up in the Meltzer as he was supposed to be from Earth 3, where everything was flipped. So, the Father Box. But even then, I mean, remind me where else it's popped up. That's the only place I remember.
I've definitely seen him in some side stuff before with New Gods in the past.
It's definitely,
but it would make sense that Omega Batman.
Mike. I mean, Mother Box is obviously way more common, but Father Box does pop up as a term every once in a while.
Well, as I was saying before, my mic went rogue. It makes sense that the Omega Batman, the Dark Side, Bat Side, I guess we call him, would have an Alfred Box.
The Trinity, along with Harley, Jonah Hex, Swamp Thing, and Jarrow, who's got a jar to help amplify his.
Of course, it's an effing jar.
It's not a jar. It's glass made from the fire pits of Apocalypse and 8th metal bindings, so it will increase your telepathic abilities.
In the shape of a jar.
Of course, it looks like an effing jar. Yeah.
Oh, I love Jarrow.
Dear. So they make all this big speech. I got a little chuckle here of some of Harley's dialogue when she's trying to say, like, why are we doing this? Like, maybe I'm better staying back with the rest of the heroes and like fighting the big scary mum. Anyone else want to trade? Teen Titans? Don't look away from me, Beast Boy. That really made me laugh. But they go to Castle Bat. We see a variety of the Batmen and sneaking in. Swamp Thing gathers all of the green energy that's basically left in the world, which is a big risk because if he's taken out with all this green energy, the green's basically going to be dead. Yeah. And he forms a tunnel for them to go underneath the Castle Bat. And
I love this page. Again, this is Manapul at his best. With
so I was worried about the last couple Manapul issues we've gotten have kind of seemed rushed. Like it was here, odd thing here or there. This is back to form. The Swamp Thing pages by themselves with the layouts, with the vines.
Even before we get to the bit where he's inside the tunnel. The page with the vines, that one at the bottom where it's like them going into his mouth for the cave entrance is just gorgeous.
And it's like it still feels like the watercoloring, but doesn't feel painted. Manapul, like it definitely feels more in line with Capullo with the hard lines.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jock's work on Witches. Kind of.
But yeah, so you can tell it's Manapul, but it's not the same, vibe, if you will. But, which works for something like this, because you kind of want to mimic Capullo's designs and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
This is his story, his world.
Right. So, but no, just that image with It Worked and basically the Justice League with Black Lantern, Batman, Apocalypse, Superman. She was the Warden of Hell, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like these are all real cool. Harley with Jarro and Zombie Jonah Hex. Like Zombie Jonah Hex is almost a Misfit song when you think about it.
Yeah, and it does a little tease here where Jarro kind of senses what's going on with the speedsters, the Wally's on the run because they've been found. Which is essentially almost a bit of cross promotion. I mean, in a weird way, it's like, hey, remember the other one shot that's coming out?
I'm shocked there wasn't an editor's note going check out Speed Metal in 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And also talk about layouts again. That layout within Jarro is you can see the Justice League behind him, and then what he's sensing with the speedsters coming out and the Darkest Night chasing them in like the negative space.
It's like he's projecting it out, isn't it?
It's really cool.
Yeah. Jonah Hex gives Harley a pep talk, and she kisses him on the cheek. She's getting kind of basically scared and nervous about everything. Gives her a pep talk, she kisses him on the cheek, and afterwards says, "Did you just slip me tongue?" And he says, "I have no cheek there. There's nothing else to kiss."
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's just like, yeah, fair enough.
So they get to their entrance. They're confronted with more
Dark Knights.
Yeah, Dark Knights. Yeah, we've got the Batman, Wonder Woman daughter. We have Black Monday, which is obviously the Solemn Grundy.
By far, my favorite of these thus far, because you can tell that Snyder's having a field day naming
just
these.
Sticking bat ears on everyone he can.
Well, just that, and then the name Black Monday, and then Arc, and the Pearl, and Chiropter instead of Chemo. Like Chiro is the Latin base for the species of bat, or for the genus of bats. So like I like this. This is real cool. Normally this would annoy me, but I think he's having fun.
So yeah, you have a big fight sequence with the characters. It's silly fun. Jarro ends up, like flying through there at one point. The Trinity sort of sneak away, and they actually sense that there's like a dark presence near them, and they run into Barbatos, who we've not seen in great detail. I don't think since Metal, right? Or maybe he's briefly popped up since then.
From my memory.
But basically, they use this to explain that he was kind of just being used by Perpetua. Like he thought he was using Perpetua, but Perpetua was using him. And so it kind of is almost like a commentary from Snyder going, "Oh, you guys all thought this was the big bad. This was just the setup to the big bad," which is something else I appreciated.
I don't know. I'm getting that meme moment from an episode of Person of Interest that I've not even got to yet. But there's that meme moment where someone's sitting in like a church pew, and there's someone behind them with a gun to the back of their head, and then there's someone behind them with a gun to the back of their head, and then it cuts away, and there's a sniper all the way back up. So I don't know who the sniper is yet, but you've got Barbatos at the front, you've got Perpetua, and then you've got the Batman Who Laughs, or the Darkest Night now. So we're just waiting for the reveal of who the sniper is to win all this.
We know who the sniper is.
It's Lex Luthor.
Yes.
I suppose. Okay, yeah, it's all right.
But I just love that because we built to Barbatos. It was like such a big deal, and just the way they deal with him here, where Superman punches his mouth closed, which someone like the Clark that I know and love, but in Darkest Nights, I'll allow it. Yeah,
the others who are left behind, that's Jonah, Jarro, Swamp Thing, who's at full strength right now because he sort of collected what he can of the green, and Harley. Robin King comes for them.
God, I hate him.
I actually quite enjoyed some of this stuff with them fighting him. Harley interact with him, calling him a little brat. In fact, one of the things that I've not mentioned yet that I really liked was the kind of like bickering rivalry between Jarro and Jonah Hex, where they're constantly like basically telling each other to go die, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that back and forth. But the others end up in their various crisis worlds, but they're surprised. They're surprised when they get some big 2-page layouts for each one of them arriving, ending with Wonder Woman arriving in the Infinite Crisis world, only to find out that these aren't the crises that they can come to win, or that they did win. This is the crises where they lost. So in the Infinite Crisis world, would you believe it, standing victorious over everything is Superboy Prime. and that's the cliffhanger we leave on.
I love how this makes perfect sense. Of course, in the dark multiverse versions that they're visiting, it's the ones where they lost. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It just never crossed their minds.
Well, so I got a little confused because when we got to the Crisis on Infinite Earths with Batman, and it's where the Anti-Monitor one, but the Anti-Monitor's taking the form of the Hawkman or Hawkwoman Martian Manhunter kid from the ninth. Or that wasn't. It was the sixth dimension.
The sixth dimension, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little weird, and I was like, okay. And then we get to the final Crisis where there's Omega Superman and Tusk Darkseid, which looks dope. Like I'm not gonna lie there. That is a metal cover. Like he looks like the Motorhead logo, right?
I can see it.
And then we get to the Infinite Crisis where, of course, Superboy Prime is in. It got me thinking before this kind of pops up in the solicits of kind of where this is going. Of course, it's going to build to Superboy Prime versus the Darkest Knight because everything is Superman versus Batman, right? And then you have this character in Superboy Prime, right? Who I know people are so tired of Superboy Prime, and with Shazam last week, I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, I kind of like what he represents right now. Whereas the problems with Superboy Prime come from he wanted the heroes to be good, right? And they disappointed him, and that's where it turned dark with him. Versus the Darkest Knight, who's just pure chaos and evil and just wants things his way. And I think that's a great take from Snyder on the differences between how Superman can be corrupted versus Batman being corrupted.
Yeah. It's prime time, baby. That's the only thing I have to say about it. It's prime time. No, I mean, I enjoyed the issue. It did feel like a proper chapter. It didn't feel like a weird side issue, which I guess has its caveats because it's not just issue 4. It's kind of weird. And on the one hand, I appreciate that they figured out a way to not like delay everything a month and just have like a weird month off where we were doing some sort of weird filler. But it is kind of weird. But I mean, comic book readers tend to be, I don't know, pay attention to these things. So I assume that
I'm just like personally on that though. I'm kind of fed up of forgiving them for this and just kind of letting them off because we know what we're doing. That's not the point, is it though? It's.
Well, no, but what do you want to do about it then?
I want them to not have to make me buy an extra, what was this, $6 book that they tell me isn't going to be necessary, yet clearly is part of the main story that I will feel missing if I didn't read this.
Okay, fine. I would say that.
Well, I am saying that. And I'm fed up of comic companies in general doing this and all of us going, that's comics. It shouldn't be though, should it?
I mean, there's better ways. It's a weird thing where I feel more relieved than I do annoyed because I'm just happy it didn't feel like a waste of time.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm gonna collect stuff anyways, so if that's the perspective of you just get all of the stuff that's associated with the event, you're covered. And I'm glad this doesn't feel throwaway.
Matt's solution is just buy everything that has the banner on it and you'll be fine.
I mean, that's how I read all the Flashpoint.
Yeah, you have no regrets about that.
Way too much Flashpoint.
I also got a lot of Convergence. I have a problem, guys, so I don't do this anymore, except for Dark Knight's Metal.
Yes, Convergence.
And Endless Winter.
And whatever comes after that, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable issue. I liked how it just stayed focused on the goal. It made the mission of going to these worlds feel like a challenge and not just something that was easily accomplished between pages, which sometimes in these big events they'll have characters just do things that seem like they should be really big deals. And
because it's in the scheme of the larger event, it's like not that big a deal.
But yeah, I don't think any of these one-shots for Death Metal have really let me down yet. I suspect that eventually, I mean, there's a lot of them coming, so I suspect one will at some point, but...
I was a little bit disappointed in the first one, I think it was, that underwhelmed me a bit. It wasn't bad, but just it felt like, it's one of these one-shots.
Yeah, well...
Whereas this doesn't feel like that, I can give it that for sure.
But here we go. So, Matt, what are you giving Trinity Crisis?
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I had a lot of fun with this, and it was... Maybe because I went in with lower expectations, thinking it was a throwaway, but No, I did not feel throwaway, and I appreciate it for that.
Okay, Car?
I give it the straight 8, I think. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'll go with the straight 8. I think I liked it a little bit more than Connor, but I also don't put Manipul on the pedestal that you two do. So 8 out of 10 for me.
Because you're wrong.
I like his art, I just don't love it like you two do. Yeah, it's good.
That's what I just said, isn't it?
And some people are wrong.
Yeah. Alright, and while I'm on controversial subjects, Kyle's crab mask is the best, and we can...
Kyle's the best when he's Ion and has a regular mask and spiky hair. Get the hair drapes and crab mask out of my eyes.
Oh, no, hair drapes.
Please.
That was a more controversial opinion than your cancer thing earlier.
What that wasn't an opinion on cancer, you tit.
So you say.
And besides, what? Okay, it'd be an incredibly cynical thing to say that you don't expect cancer to be cured. That's not really an opinion on it, though. On the subject of cancer itself.
I'm staying out of this.
Yeah, you might have made the smart choice here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. And while we're on the subject, one of the covers from earlier did have Nightwing with his longer hair, and that is the best Nightwing look that he can possibly have.
I was really worried as to what subject you were going to come out with then. He said, while we're on the subject, I was like, oh God, what now? What else
hair.
is he going to say?
Of hair. He brought up Kyle's hair, so now I was thinking of Nightwing hair.
Yeah.
What?
All right.
Lots of comic characters that look better with longer hair. Superman even looked better with longer hair. It's actually kind of amazing.